After 7 years since the release of The Rise of Skywalker, Star Wars, one of the biggest film franchises, is returning to the big screen with the newest film, Star Wars: The Mandalorian and Grogu. Now, I decided to get more into Star Wars this month to prepare for this movie. If you saw my review on The Mandalorian yesterday, then you'll know that I watched the pre-equal films, the original trilogy, as well as the spin-offs like not films like the Clone Wars, Rogue One, and then Solo. And when it comes to my thoughts on the Mandalorian series, I'll admit that it's overall a really good series. I do have my problems with it that does hold it back for me, but that doesn't change the fact that I did really enjoy watching the series despite the issues I have. This leads us into the Mandalorian and Grogu. And I'll admit, coming in, I did not have the highest expectations. Even after watching lots of Star Wars content and liking the Mandalorian series, I still had to have some doubts about this film. It didn't help however, that the critics were not giving it the greatest reviews. Granted, none were saying it was the worst film in the franchise, but none were saying it was really that good either. But I'm always willing to give any film a chance, and no matter what. So the best way I learned to know if it was good or not was if I watched the film myself. And I must say, I don't know if this will be a controversial opinion or not, but I really like this film. This is a really good movie. I can understand why critics aren't huge on this one, and as it does have a lot of issues that do hold it back. But I don't know. I found out there was a lot more good in this than bad. As of made a great, a really good film. I will say now, the story is easily the film's weakest aspect. Not that it's bad. It's honestly a decent idea for the story. However, it did become what many of us feared. And that being, the story felt less like a story for a film and more like a story for a 4th season of The Mandalorian. While the story is still pretty good in that regard, it is noticeable that this was originally meant to be a 4th season, so it's another show. But then we shortened Orson down in something else, but it's because it looked good enough to be a film, and if they kept it as it was length, the film would be too long. Which is a real shame, because I'll admit that the story is decent. I'll admit the first part isn't original, isn't amazing for the story, as it does follow a similar plotline onto the Clone Wars about saving Jabba the Hutt's son on rubber there. But I don't know. Oh, well, once it got past that, and once we finally ended up meeting brother, I felt like the film did improve its story, even if it was noticeable that this is a story that would have fit as more of a series, more so than an actual short movie. Not to mention that the film does kind of jump through its side. I felt like Mando and Grogu find brother. There's an action scene of helping him escape. They after the person that I was keeping brother hostage. It's them. Then Mando and brother get kidnapped by the Hutt twins, and which leaves Grogu on a mission to rescue him. it is noticeable that the story was just us putting elements together from that would have worked well for a series, but didn't stop to think if it would work well for an actual movie. However, I think the story is my only big problem that really does hold this film back, because I ended up really liking everything else that the film had to offer. And that is especially the case with the action scenes. They were easily the highlights of most of the Star Wars films, and these might offer some of the best I've seen so far from the franchise. They have a great intensity to them. The suspense is really noticeable for out, and it's noticeable that the scale of them is huge. These are not just little two moments that happen, but these are clearly meant to be big action set pieces, and the film pulls it off amazingly. It also helps that the film has some really good visuals. I've had people complain that this is one of the duller looking Star Wars films, and I agree that it's not. Either this might not be visually the best looking film, but I think it being duller is does make sense, since this film is supposed to take us to these planets that aren't supposed to be the best looking in the entire galaxy. I'll admit the lighting can be a bit distracting in some points, where it looks too bright in some areas and too dull in others. But those moments are very far and few between. And I will admit that I still ended up really liking the characters. As this film is called The Mandalorian And Grogu, those two are definitely focused on the past. I really like how they still kept acting down on this note on since found that does any job of he's given instead is true to his creed, even in his morals, while also trying to look after Grogu. Speaking of which, Grogu is fantastic in this. It's, of course, it's also I said the film focuses a lot also on these key moments, which are enjoyable. I did find the film's comedy to be really hit and miss, where some jokes landed and others didn't. But I would easily say that the best jokes did come from some of the cute moments that Grogu had. However, but it's the second half of the feature where Grogu gets to shine the most. Where we get to see him in the situation where he has to fend for himself without having to protect action of the into. It's really interesting idea for his character, as we get to see how he acts without the protect action of his father figure, and how he has to survive this plan. And that's a beautiful sequence where Grogu has to spend most of the film alone and then on his temporarily to Okinawa. And what I really liked about it is that it used little dialogue. It's clearly understandable that Grogu's meant to be a island character. So the dialogue is really minimal, and it just us focuses more on visual storytelling, where it's showing us what Grogu's doing more so than actually telling us. As for the other characters, while the roles aren't really that huge, and I will admit I was pretty disappointed about seeing only Eva's uses. She says, I was surprised to find that I really liked like the way the film portrayed the Hutts. I admit I was a bit put off at first. With them being able to speak English because I thought it was cool in the other films where they had their own language. But no, no. Oh, I understand and what it did it have a stronger connection between characters, and it did become a lot less weird for me as the feature goes on. I was surprised to find how much I really liked Rudder the Hutt. I thought or he was an interesting character to where he wants to prove that he's not like his father and tried to make a name for himself. And the Hutt and his aunt and uncle, aka the Hutt twins, introduced as well as decent antagonists. Even if they don't really do that much in the grand scheme of the film. I'll also say now that the actors do their roles really well. No one was half-assing it, and they knew that they had to put more importance with their performances since they were doing it for a Mandalorian movie, more so than a season for the Mandalorian. And before I wrap this up, I have to talk about what's possibly the best element of the feature, and that is the score by Louis Orson. And I don't usually talk about the music, but I was surprised to find that the score in this film is absolutely phenomenal. The music enhances every single moment, and there was some. When the music was given the time to shine, it felt more like it was like I was listening into a concert. So with some beautiful visuals in the background, and I thought that was really good. And really interesting thing. This is another great score by Louis Gorston, and I wouldn't be surprised if he got an Oscar nomination for this. This score was absolutely incredible. So overall, I honestly thought that Star Wars and Mandalorian and Grogu was a great return to Star Wars movies. While it definitely does not have the best story, or as it feels less about like a film more like a fourth season of The Mandalorian, it does more than make up for it with some awesome action, some honor visuals, a fantastic score, or likable characters, to decent comedy and great acting. For my recommendations, I will say for Star Wars fans that the film is worth watching at least once to say that you've seen it, but how you feel afterwards may vary. As for anyone who's not that familiar with Star Wars, or if you are interested in checking this one out, I would recommend to at least watch the our season of the Mandalorian, and so you kind of have an understanding of what Oscars is to be in store or with this movie. It's been in a while since we've had a big Star Wars film on the big screen, and this definitely isn't the best one, and we've had that didn't mean that they did not make an enjoyable return, and that's why I'm giving the feature a solid 8 out of 10. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Feel free to comment, like, and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye!